Thank you for joining us. You've seen how stories from the past, from both books and comics, can inspire us with courage and creativity. Here on the Fulmo Talk series, we carry that spirit forward into the world of ideas. The Fulmo Talk series 2025 has been created to highlight the Fulmo platform. The Fulmo platform was initially created to address the student suicide crisis in India. It has since grown into a full-fledged games hub with happiness practices paired with games. These happiness practices are designed to cultivate resilience, optimism, and gratitude. This talk series has been developed in association with the Esperanto and Conlang Society of South India. Some of the sentences spoken in the introduction and conclusion are in Esperanto, but no knowledge of Esperanto is needed since we always translate all sentences into English. In fact, my knowledge of Esperanto is not very high, so I've often been reading from a script. Today, we are grateful to have you with us as we explore new perspectives together. Today's talk continues Fulmo's journey, full of insight and thought. So, let's begin. Hello, saluton and namaskar. I'm very pleased to welcome you once again to another edition of the Fulmo Talk series. Today we have another fantastic guest, Mr. Yashas Kumar. I have his bio here with me, and it is my privilege to introduce him to you. Mr. Yashas Kumar is an entrepreneur, technology leader, and a lifelong hobby collector. While not leading finance and sustainability for a sporting club, he participates in quizzing, animal rescue, and collecting anything possible. That includes trivia facts, LinkedIn connections, shiny Pokemon, and most importantly, action figures. Having been exposed to the imaginative joys that action figures bring as a child, Yashas has instinctively collected several different types of such items over the past 20 years, eventually moving into the NRFB category, never removed from box category, after he saw better returns on some media ahead of various financial investments. Today, he's far more careful of collecting, not because he's losing interest, but because he's running out of space. And so here's, without further ado, let me hand the floor to him. But before that, let me say my sentence in Esperanto. Kai nun ni ĝojas doni la vorton al nia gasto. And now we are glad to hand over the floor to our guest. So Yashas, the floor is yours. Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Anand. I'm really pleased to be on the Fulmo Talk series. And it's a good connection the way that I have with the Fulmo organization. So I guess this is a good way to get things started and see more progress on that partnership. Now, going on to my topic of choice, I called it collecting worldviews. I call it collecting worldviews because I see this hobby of mine, the collector in particular, as something that actually enables me to collect pieces of information, collect pieces of memories, collect pieces of items that just builds a much more bigger worldview for me as compared to someone who does not collect anything of this sort. Which is why I'm just going to focus on one small aspect of my collections, which is the action figure part. I honestly think that I have some of the best action figure collectibles in Bangalore, knowing the community and whatnot. So I'm just going to take it forward from here. Thank you. Yeah, a bit about my introduction about myself and how things got started. And if you sort of see the picture forming, I think it sort of helps you understand how I got so deep into action figure collection. So I myself, I'm an entrepreneur, as I'm called out. I'm in a sports consultancy startup, and in a prior life, I have been a senior manager at a fan company. I've been there for about 11 years. I've been a lifelong reader of multiple pieces of literature, be it comic books, be it self-help, be it high fantasy, all of that stuff. And through all of this, I've become a pop culture enthusiast. Anything related to pop culture, I'm definitely up to discuss, to debate even. And through that, I've become a cartoon, anime, and a video game lover. And again, because I've been collecting all these facts, I'm passionate about trivia and quizzing. I've almost got onto uh, amazing platforms such as Jeopardy and Kaun Banega Crorepati in the very first season that was almost 20 years ago. And I've also been a finalist on the prestigious Born with Tacos contest. So that's about me. Nice little fun fact is that I'm also a member of Mensa in India. And yeah, just a little bit about me. So you might ask, how did you get started on collecting action figures? Have you had stuff all your life? And it's very important that I call out one thing before I proceed. This particular hobby comes from a place of privilege, something that I'm never going to take for granted. And while it is definitely fun, it comes with its seriousness. It comes with a definite amount of time and money that needs to be invested in it. So while I would say that it's a fun hobby, it might not be for everyone, and I definitely appreciate uh, the privilege that I've had to begin and the privilege that I've had earned to continue this particular hobby of mine going forward. So yeah, if I speak about the historical terms of how I got connected to action figures, pop culture, it's a concoction of multiple reasons. Now, it first began with my parents getting me a He-Man action figure at the age 3. They sort of upgraded me to G.I. Joe at age 6. And honestly, this led a lot of inventive gameplay sessions. I was an only kid at that point in time, so that led to a lot of inventive gameplay sessions, multiple things, and what you now call as cameo appearances, cross-domain interactions or collaborations used to happen with whatever imagination that I could pull off back then. Around the same time, uh, I got introduced to Hot Wheels, a topic that I will come back to later, but I never really understood the craze or the fun of playing with cars. And at about the age of 9, I understood a topic on Dexter's laboratory called NRFB, or Never Removed from Box. In this particular episode, they talk about the importance of action figures that have been kept inside their original casing, inside their original boxing, versus those that have been removed. And it sort of got me thinking, okay, I've, every single piece of merchandise that I've owned, I've always opened and played with. Does it mean that I always have to keep it fixed, or we always have to keep it closed? I never really got to thinking more because I just kept collecting. At the age of 10, I collected things which are called as Tazos, or in general vernacular, they're called as Pogs. And I call it lost because I collected a huge amount of these Tazos. That used to be available as a free merchandise along with a snack, a pack of Cheetos, to be honest. So I collected a lot of those before losing them in a certain way, and that took a few years to recover from. After which I started collecting what I call tattoos. Well, not tattoos which are physical tattoos, but they're actually stickers that used to come with, again, sugar confectionery. I was 14 years old, so you can't really blame me for collecting anything that was shiny at that point in time. I resumed collecting Tazos and Pogs at the age of 15, by which time I had also gotten into uh, the biggest pop culture phenomenon in the world today, the biggest franchise in the world today, that is Pokemon. So I got into Pokemon, and they were right now at that point in time they had Pokemon Tazos available in India. So that's how I got back into the game. I still have those. Everything after has been ongoing. So I resumed collecting action figures at the age of 23, just about the time I started my professional career. I was able to sort of ensure that I invest in some of that. At the age of 35, I started collecting non-fungible tokens. There's a little more information that I can get into that. And finally, I went all in and I started getting into high value collectibles at the age of 36. Again, all of this has been ongoing. It sort of makes you think about the amount of patience, the amount of knowledge that you need to have to be aware of everything. And to be honest, the this field of action figure collection is a very niche domain. You need to be aware of each and every piece of pop culture. So I've been lucky to have my pop culture background, but you also need to know what the financial value of each and everything that you buy is. You can't always be in a mass produced environment. You need to know what exactly is rare and what isn't as it stands in my current situation. Moving on, you might ask, okay, you've been collecting for more than 30 years. Why do you collect? If I can explain it, these are memories frozen in time. An action figure is a memory that is frozen in time. Yes, you can imagine that they're coming to life. You can think about the impact that movies like Toy Story have had on generations of people, or you can think about how you yourself would have played with any kind of dolls. Right now, as we speak, we are in the season of Navratri in India, where everyone collects and displays their traditional toys and dolls. So I don't think it's a coincidence that I got into this field. I obviously love the pop culture connect that it has. It's something that's always been there, and I like small pieces of pop culture that are surrounding me all the time. Obviously, if you need to get into a resource extensive hobby like this, you need to have a supportive family around you, which is why I'm always, uh, I think I do like to say that I'm privileged to have supportive parents initially and now a supporting partner. It is indulging your own individuality. Like if I can be brutal about it, it's just an indulging, it's just one way of indulging my individuality. And as I've realized in the last few years, these are worthwhile investments. Uh, Quite a few things that I've invested in the last few years have actually outperformed other conventional financial instruments. So, yeah, why do I collect? That's how it is. A few examples, I'll try to explain the diversity of the things that I've collected here. And this is just scratching the tip of the iceberg, if you ask me. So starting from the left, if you see a box called Archie, that is a limited edition uh, Jughead action figure or a statuette. On top of that, you have the butter serving robot from Rick and Morty. In the image next to it, you can see a whole bunch of Pokemon collectibles, and these are come from all over the world: India, China, Japan, America, quite a bit. And the next is a mixed bag. You have all kinds of characters. You have characters from Incredibles. You have characters from the anime Death Note. You also have an Indian action figure of a character called Doga, apart from most of the characters of Mario. So it's just my fun way of keeping them all around. This is basically like a multi-star movie or something like that. Just I like to see that and go back to the imaginative phases that one has as a child. Next, again, these are a bunch of a little more rare items. Again, all of these are NRFB, never removed from box. And quite a few that I've collected at different Comic Cons, both India and abroad. The last picture on the bottom is basically one of my most prized collections. The initial batch of Pokemon, Pogs, or Tazos that I collected. I've recently been trying to form a community online of people who collect these, who corrected this in the past, rather. There's nothing like this available anywhere online currently. So I'm trying to find a community, kind of form a community so that we can actually evaluate and come to a monetary value. And right now, from whatever we've been able to gather, there is still a lot of interest in collecting knickknacks like this. And there's been a recent sale in the tune of 50,000 INR for somebody's life collection. So honestly, if you ask me, there is a lot of value for NRFP or never removed from box. a little more examples or a little more things, you might see that there's a lot of Funkos that are there. Maybe let me go here. Yeah. So collecting in India today, when I compare my collections and when I think back that okay, I've been lucky enough to travel to multiple countries across the world, where I've been able to bring back some of these as souvenirs, getting exposed to some of the cultures there, some of the pop culture, some of the more prominent characters that I can sort of bring back as a memory. But if you think about what how it is like in India as of now, it is the general consensus is that it is time consuming. There is a lack of quality in terms of action figures, and you have a lot of mass produced knockoffs, which is really disappointing because over time you collect all of these things and then you see that there is then a drop in quality. Like before in India, you used to get a lot of high quality action figures, and now everything that you get are Chinese mold knockoffs. Every store that claims to be an action figure destination, a pop culture destination, has nothing but Chinese knockoffs. And unfortunately, the people running the show are unaware, completely unaware of the quality or the lack thereof of whatever is available, the merchandise available. So, if you are a collector, if you are aiming to be a collector, I would advise you please don't buy anything that is not in a box, that does not have any kind of branding or merchandising associated with it, because high chances that it's a mass produced knockoff, and it really is not going to have any kind of value in the years to come. Of course, if it's still a favorite character, if it's still something that is um, intangibly close to you, please go ahead. Just know that it's always going to be a shiny thing that you keep on your shelf and nothing else after that. But coming back to the topic of Hot Wheels are a phenomenon in the collector space in India, to be precise. Hot Wheels have always been these small action car, modern die-cast models of cars. They used to be metallic, now they're more fiber-based. But right now there is a definite craze or a definite spike in interest for the general public in India to collect Hot Wheels. They are affordable. They usually come cost in the low hundreds to high, somewhere in 1,000, 2,000 rupees in terms of how much a pack costs. A pack is of three cars, and people love to collect multiple variants of these Hot Wheel cars in India. It really goes beyond multiple demographics. I've seen young people collect, I've seen slightly older people collect, men and women, all kinds of things. So I think if you want to be a collector, if you want to start collecting, I think Hot Wheels is a good place. And like I said, genuine brands are few and far between. One major brand that I've collected and which is a market leader in terms of some of these action figure types is Funko. Funko is again difficult to come by in India, but if you can, I would say invest in some of those which are limited edition Funkos. They often see their values go anywhere from 800 rupees to uh, even 5x or 10x or even 100x after it goes out of production. These Funkos usually go out of production after the first batch. So if you've got something that's further limited edition, then it is something that you would want to consider keeping around. Do not remove from the box. If it's a pop culture character and if you're able to get it signed somehow, then nothing like it. You're only increasing the value of your collectible. So that's about genuine brands. There is also a lack of knowledge about the base mythology. And again, if you want to be a collector, you need to be passionate about the mythology. It can't just be lip service that, hey, I know who Thanos is, I know who Magneto is, versus, something having a direct connect with some of these characters. And it's not a prerequisite, but it's definitely important enough to know how some of these action figures are different and what makes them worthwhile in collecting. So you need to know the mythology as much as possible. And as I was saying, there is unfortunately in India you have a lack of marketplaces to trade and sell. Even if you have something that is valuable, if you want to get it valued, if you want to find someone for a trade, a genuine collector like yourself, there is a lack of a marketplace. So potentially a business idea for anyone listening in on this. Finally, like most other things in the general online sphere, there is a lack of empathy. Like if you are seen as a collector, you're always seeing, hey, why are you collecting? And I'll come back to some of the funny questions that I've received over the years. So there is a genuine lack of empathy in people to so in when seeing people who are in some of these diverse hobbies. Um, this is my final slide. Uh, there is a general doubt on how much have I spent on this, and it's really a question that I don't like to track. I never tracked. It's a question of it's similar like how much do you spend on your pet's food? You don't really keep a track, right? What do you intend to do with this? Well, I've collected this, and I want to build. I want to build a place which can house all of the things that I've collected, and I'm in progress of making that happen. So I just wanted to be there, stand the test of time, and hopefully find someone else that I can uh, hand this over to eventually. Will I ever open the boxes? I don't think so. Some of these are far too valuable for me, either emotionally or practically in terms of their growing rarity. So I don't think I don't think I will ever spoil that value by opening it. Where do you have the space for it? Like I said, I don't have the space. I'm running out of space for some of the bigger boxes. And these have traveled with me across multiple countries, so they're important to me. But I'm trying to make a space for it. My favorite collectible. Uh, that's a bit of a that's a bit of a stretch, but let me see. Like my favorite collectible is Captain America action figure that I have signed and valued by the actor who plays Captain America, Chris Evans. I got that last year at a Comic Con where he was available. So that is one of my favorite collectibles. And if you ask me what is my most valuable collectible right now, so it is a series of Funko NFTs. An NFT is a non-fungible token, which is basically a virtual item. So you're saying, are you also collecting virtual action figures? In a way, yes. So Funko has built this gamified system where you need to collect random NFTs in their on their website, and when you collect a certain set of NFTs, virtual items, they translate into one physical action figure. And then they came up with this whole series of Star Wars based action figures. Uh, and honestly, those are my most valuable collectibles. They were extremely low quantity. They were produced in extremely low quantities. And when you think about the amount of games that I had to play, or the amount of hoops that I had to jump through to get the necessary amount of NFTs and then translate them into physical collectibles, I think these are definitely some of my most valuable ones. Like if I bought them for something close to $0.1, these are now worth more than $600 to $800 in the open market. I can only speak about their valuation on eBay. I don't intend to sell them. It's just notional value for them for the moment. But as it stands, that's my most valuable collectible. So yeah, I think that's it about the topic. I've been speaking on stuff, and I appreciate Fulmo and Anand for giving me this opportunity to talk about something that is never really a discussion on discussion, or thank you for giving me a chance to represent a side of myself that is never really out there in public. So I appreciate all of the opportunity that Fulmo and Anand are giving me, and yeah, thank you for listening so far.
Thank you so much, Yashas, for such an engaging talk. It's really true that different things bring us joy or joya, as we say in Esperanto world. And one can infuse Jaya into almost anything. And I'm actually experimenting with some stuff around that where you infuse Jaya into actually things around you.
Mhm.
And this is just such a fantastic example of how one can get Jaya out of Jaya or joy out of things that you know that we loved as children, and then there is something that we have sustained as an interest over time. So that's it's such a fantastic example of how uh, joy can come from even little things, and in this case, literally little things, right? So miniature toys and everything. So I do have to say a sentence in Esperanto. So tio estis inspira rencontigo kaj ni dankas ĉiujn pro via ĉeesto. This was an interesting meeting, uh, rough translation, and we thank everyone for your presence. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back again with another edition of the Fulmo Talk series. So until then, stay curious, stay interested, and stay Jaya. Thank you. And thanks to Yashas for his participation.